Welcome to Diverse Orange, our conversations about diversity here in Central Florida. My guest today is Ruth King. Ruth, it's so great to see you.
It's great to see you, Terry.
Ruth, you are a musician around town, and I know there's people that are great fans of yours, but you didn't start your life here in Central Florida. Let's find out a little bit about you.
I grew up in upstate New York, although I was born in Virginia, and moved to Fort Lauderdale, then went to Tallahassee for a couple years of school at the School of Music, and then right here to Central Florida.
And I just finished your book, so
cool.
Of Ruth, which is great and talks about the incredible experiences and things you've lived through to get to where you are today. And as you said, you were born in Virginia. And tell us about your parents.
Well, my birthday it wasn't the happiest day. In 1959, when I was born, it was illegal for races to mix. And of course, they're talking black race and white race. The doctor that brought me into this world had a passion as soon as I was delivered to find out the name of the man the black man, or the colored man who impregnated this white woman. So my mother is white and my father was black. My mother did not give up his name, so my father didn't have to go to jail. But can you imagine on somebody's birthday that it would be so void of joy, huh? Can you imagine?
Your mother was a single mother, but her parents, I believe, helped raise you. And how was that?
People give you what they have to give. And what they had was a lot of hatred for other races other than the Caucasian race. So that's what they gave to me. The life-saving grace in my life, they had a son who was 2 years old when I was born. And that little guy loved me. And we became, like brother and sister. So there was beauty in my life because of him. His name was Greg.
Well, I can't imagine what it would be like to grow up with your caregivers hating black people, except for you, of course.
Except for me, of course. No, I was no exception. I was not the exception.
So your grandfather, for instance, did not want your...
Well, I can look at their side of it. They lost all their friends. They felt they had to leave town. He felt he had to leave the army. It was the worst thing that ever happened to them the day I was born. But it was the racism that was steeped in the heart of our country at the time. And of course, they really let me know that to be a black person is the worst thing you can be. And they did hate, they did despise me. At the same time, they sat me down at their dinner table and they fed me. So there was a bit of a double message going on. So that was my childhood there for the first 4 years.
Well, with that kind of beginning, how do you turn out to be a wonderful person and accepting person that you are? I don't see bitterness or hatred coming from you.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. What eventually happened, Terry, because you love the people who I loved them. I loved them. They were my grandma and my grandpa. They hurt me because they had hatred in them for blacks. But you got to admit, the person who hates another person just because of the color of their skin, of the other person's skin, the person who hates is really at the disadvantage. As I grew throughout the decades of my life, I got to feel sorry for anybody who hates, because can you imagine if you walked around just hating people because of the color of their skin? Can you? I can't imagine it. So my heart goes out to the racist. My heart goes out to the racist. So I'll go ahead and say it. It sounds funny still coming out of my mouth, but I love the white racist. I do, and I just see them I see a person who hates another at a disadvantage, because that hate is touching them first. So they're not having a good life. Anybody that hates another is not having a good life. So that's how I really feel for the racist. I really do.
So when you encounter racism currently, if you do at all, how do you respond?
Well, I have a motto that works for me. I let the racism hurt me. And Terry, sometimes it takes a minute, because I'm always caught off guard when somebody is acting that way toward me. And I experience that on a daily basis in one way or another. Say the past couple of weeks, a couple different stores that I've gone to shop. One was a gift shop at a lighthouse at the beach over on the coast, and another was a gift shop here in Mount Dora. And it's always inventory time when I walk into it's often inventory time. When I walk into a store, I am followed at close range, because I am seen as a demographic, not as a person or a woman or a shopper, and there's a certain energy I feel, which is just unwelcome, rejection, dehumanized. And that's how all racism feels.
So
And
you're summed up as a color,
yeah,
and indicating you need to be watched.
I better be watched. Yeah. Yeah, you're right on that one. Or sometimes it's just rude behavior, like a pharmacist when I was trying to get a COVID shot one time at one of the grocery stores. But I have to let the racism hurt me, because if I don't, because that's what racism is meant to do. It's a violence. It's hate, and it's meant to hurt. If I resist that, then I'm carrying that thing with me. I can carry it with me for weeks and days. Weeks. It can turn into a resentment. It can turn into a feeling of, oh, it's poison. Hate is poison. But once I allow the racism to hurt me, and I usually find a place in my heart. See, once I let the racism hurt me, now I'm not all tense. I find my heart opens up, and I can pray for that person. When I say pray for them, I just mean have a good intention in my heart for that poor person who can't help but hate a stranger. And once I do that, it's forgotten. I move on. I'm free. Once I do that, I'm free. It's magic.
And how have you seen people reacting to you, reacting to them?
Well, now listen, I don't want to go on and on, but I walked into the store, and because when they start following me around, I was the only person in the store. I know what's going on, so I kind of sidestepped to where I was actually following her. she felt uncomfortable, and I said, "Look, now I'm following you." And then I went right into. I said, "Listen, when I came in, I heard you singing along to that Billy Joel song. How do you know that? You're too young." Oh, my boyfriend. The second I become a human being, and that person becomes free of hate, their heart opens. And I often, and it happens a lot, and I've got so many stories I share in my workshops, their heart opens, and I hear everything that's in their heart. Oh my God, her boyfriend surprised her on her birthday to take her to Billy Joel. It was too cold. Billy Joel was making jokes about how cold it was and steam coming out of his. I heard everything, and we parted as friends. There was no hug, but there could have been. I could have gone in for the hug. I could have.
Well, Ruth, 10 minutes goes by really quickly, and I really appreciate what I know of you and what you've expressed today, and long for the day when you don't have to experience hurts.
Well, may we all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and I want to thank you for joining this edition of Diverse Orange.